Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. I've had one heck of a week and I have had to commit all of my time at work that I could within reason. And so I am utilizing this time at the moment to just get into the Bible a little bit. It's what I usually like to do when I'm taking a break from my job and I haven't had the time. And still, every time I go into the Bible, and that's one thing I haven't been doing, and I need that. I need it. I need it a lot. But when I have a lot of things going on at work and I have headphones and I listen to my audiobooks, it's like sometimes, so much is going on where either I can't listen or I'm so focused on something else I don't even realize I've just missed like 3 or 4 chapters, and it's just like, what am I doing? So it was probably like 2 weeks ago I think it was last week. I had a question, and it dealt into Revelations in chapter 20. After the beast is thrown into the pit, those who were beheaded are resurrected for not participating in the beast system. It talks about Magog after the 1,000 years and the beast being released for a short season and making war with the saints and fire raining down on them, and then they're all thrown into the pit. All evil is pretty much, to me, it sounds like all evil by then, at that moment, is vanquished in the world, because the beast convinces everybody that thinks it's a good idea to go and still do wars and all these things 1,000 years after the bowls are poured out. So there has to be some sort of an intense season, kind of like the flood, where things moved on and the world continues. But are they trying to again change history, change the idea of the reality, change the reality of God, and somehow they convince man again to start going into these pagan ideas and worships, and then as the beast is released, he convinces those people to then come and from the 4 corners pull people into some sort of an idea. They come against the saints and fire rains down on them. So is that the extinguishing of evil forever? Because then in Revelation 20 verses 11 through 15, it begins to talk about judgment before the great white throne, is how it's titled here. I'll take my hat off for this. Then I saw a great white throne, and him who was seated on it. From his presence earth and sky fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were opened. Then another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged by what was written in the books, according to what they had done. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it. Death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one of them, according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Then chapter 20, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. So after this is done and completed, then evil is gone. Now you can bring in the new heaven and the new earth, and the world will be good from then on. Now that they've weeded out evil 1,000 years prior, and now they just got the last bit of it who thought they could slip through. And however that may work. I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm not a prophet, a scholar. I'm just a looker into the Word, and I just want to show what I see, and I just have a question, and that's all I'm presenting today. I don't have answers. I have a question. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and then death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them. Now, is death and Hades some sort of a... I know the Book of Enoch, people don't want to say is what, you know, is something real. It's questionable, but I know that in that, where the dead go, I think it's in chapter 21 or 22, it talks about these places where everybody goes as a kind of a holding period. Like, I think there was 4. So is that death in Hades? Is there a good spots and there's bad spots? I don't know. But my question kind of also deals more towards the sea gave up the dead who were in it. So what is the sea? Now, there's the Sea of Glass in chapter 15, where, you know, you see the Sea of Glass and all the people, the multitude standing. And I believe it kind of references the same in chapter 7 with the multitude that's there standing before him. Or else there's chapter 17 where it talks about the beast and the woman riding the beast. And then there's the description given by the angel saying, well, the waters are peoples, nations, and tongues in multitudes. So is that the multitude? Is the sea giving up the dead? Is that like the living, the dead, those who are going to be put before? Were they part of this last beast system? And the biggest part of this question I would ask in this would be the sea gave up the dead that were in it. Is that Noah's time, where the flood had taken away all the living things in that time, and only those who were on the boat made it through? So is this a chapter being spoken of, the sea giving up the dead that were in it? Because if it encompassed the whole earth, everybody that was there perished. And I have another video I'll do probably some other time, because this is already kind of a good lengthy, just kind of questioning. But there is the idea of one solid landmass. And I wonder, like, well, like in the times of Babel, all the languages all of a sudden became separated and people couldn't communicate with one another. And I believe it's in Genesis, and I'm not going to pull it up or show it right now, but I know I was listening to it just the other day, and it talks like it had not rained on the ground, and I believe it was the 7-day creation story. And I wondered, like, well, prior to the flood, people were not used to rain. They did speak of whales because they were named. So were there large bodies of water but more land present? Because, like, if you look in the Mediterranean, there's a lot of things that are underwater still. So the water receded, but maybe there was more land mass at the time. And you'll always see those questions about the pyramids all around the world looking so similar, but maybe kind of like the Bering Strait idea in between Russia and Alaska, maybe there were more land bridges and land present that was lost after the flood. Yes, the waters receded, the land did, come about, mountains were shown, plains, but was there travel in between all the continents prior to the flood? And I can't remember, it was when they speak of the generations after Noah and his sons and their sons, where it speaks about that's when the land was divided. And I don't know if that means that the families, the tribes all took up areas like Europe and Africa, the Middle East, India, things like that, where they all took up lands, or were the lands separated like in Babel? All of a sudden everything became, did the land masses pull apart? There was a Pangea. Here again, more questions that I don't think we can really get answers to, but it's just things that just kind of pop off the top of my head. Like I said, I'm usually outside the box, but I'll leave it at that. If anybody has any more information they think that they could have on that kind of the first part of this, I really haven't been able to dig too deep into it, but it's just an interesting question when I look at it. It's like, what is that sea being spoken of? I mean, the death and Hades that's in them. I mean, if death and Hades are thrown into the lake of fire, and if hell is the lake of fire, and death and Hades are in hell, they just go back home. But now they're a part of the torture trap that's there in the fire, and before they were on some sort of a landmass, like you usually see, Satan sitting on a throne or something down in hell. But how does all that work? I don't know. I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to have a little fun and get out of work with this, so I'll leave it at that. Just a word to the wise guys. God bless. Hopefully everybody's doing good out there. I still have this feeling. I'm kind of in search of on-point preparedness. I don't know why he's fallen off the map as he has. I'd love to see him and Days of Noah get together and talk and kind of just hash ideas to each other, because they're both really wise in their ways. And I don't know why. I know he's got kids and he's got a life going on, and so everybody's probably super busy out there. I know work is getting very compressed in the world, and so it's getting harder and harder for me even to just get out and take my appropriated breaks and lunches and all that. And I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm complaining, thankful for what I have, and I'm trying to make the most of it, but it's getting harder to not have it wear on me a little bit, I guess would be a good way of saying it. So just a word to the wise guys. God bless.